Hey there, friends, and welcome back to 3-Minute Thoughts. My name is Derek, and in a few minutes each day, we open up Scripture, slow down a little, and think honestly about what God might be saying into our real lives right now. Today, we're in Acts chapter 9, and this is one of the biggest turning points in the entire New Testament, because this is the chapter where Saul becomes Paul. And honestly, if anyone seemed unreachable, it would be Saul. He's not spiritually curious. He is not searching. He's actively hunting Christians down. The chapter opens with him breathing threats and murder against followers of Jesus. He's traveling to Damascus with authority to arrest believers and drag them back in chains. And then, everything changes. A light flashes, Saul falls to the ground, and he hears a voice. Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Saul asks, who are you, Lord? And the answer, I am Jesus. That was it. That was the moment. The realization that the very Jesus he thought he was fighting against is actually alive. And then Saul is led into the city blind, completely dependent. The man who thought he saw clearly now can't see at all. Meanwhile, God speaks to a disciple named Ananias and tells him to go pray for Saul. Ananias is understandably hesitant. Isn't this the man who's done terrible things? Basically, he's saying, are you sure? But God says he is a chosen instrument of mine. There's power in that line of thinking. Because God sees beyond Saul's past, beyond what everyone else assumes about him. So Ananias obeys. He goes. He lays hands on Saul and calls him Brother Saul. Don't miss that. Before Saul had proven anything, before his trust has been rebuilt, grace meets him immediately. Something like scales fall from Saul's eyes and he can see again. He's baptized, strengthened, and almost immediately he starts preaching that Jesus is the Son of God, which completely shocks everyone. The people hearing him can't believe it's the same guy. And honestly, that's kind of the point. Real transformation should surprise people. Then the chapter closes with tension continuing to build. People plot against Saul. He has to escape the city secretly, and even the disciples in Jerusalem are afraid of him at first, until Barnabas steps in and vouches for him, encourages him, brings him in, and the church begins to grow in peace and strength. So let's look at chapter 9 for you and me. Can someone really change is the question that I think we should be asking. Because sometimes we write people off, maybe others, maybe even ourselves. We assume the past defines the future. But Acts 9 reminds us that Jesus is still in the business of transforming people, and often the people we least expect. It also asks what happens when your certainty gets interrupted, because Saul thought he understood everything until he encountered Jesus. Stories like this remind us that we oftentimes are met with grace and change that nobody saw coming. And yet sometimes that's exactly where Jesus is found most. Thanks for taking a few minutes with me this morning. Be well, friends.